Network.
In the lab room.
Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. Week number 6 in the National Football League. I dubbed this week Statement Sunday. After watching all the games in week number 6 transpire and seeing teams make profound statements, I dubbed it Statement Sunday. And another team making a loud, profound statement in week 6. Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. And they flew all over the G-Men on a huge Sunday night football matchup. Let's talk about how the Eagles were able to dominate the New York Football Giants in every way imaginable en route to a shutout victory. There's nothing worse in this league than getting a goose egg after 4 quarters of football. Let's talk about this beatdown that the Eagles delivered to the Giants. Philly gets on the board first as Shady has 4 rushes for 34 yards, which leads to a 31-yard Cody Parkey field goal. It's 3-0 Philly up early in this game. And you had to know, there were 2 things I was looking for, other than a win, of course, for the Eagles. There were 2 things that I was watching very closely for the Eagles in this game. 2 things. One, could they get Shady McCoy back on track? He hasn't had a really good rushing game all season long. And everybody wanted to point to that Rams game as a good game. That wasn't a good game. Over 20 rushes, 70-something yards. That's not a Shady-like performance. I was looking for, 22 rushes, $140, $150, $160, a touchdown or 2. That's what I'm looking for from Shady. That's what I'm accustomed to from Shady. Haven't seen that all season long. So I was still looking for the running game to get going. And again, until you get all your parts back on the offensive line, don't really know when that's going to be. Kind of hard to gauge whether it's Shady's fault or the offensive line fault. You got to assume that Shady's the same guy. He didn't lose it in a year. So you got to assume it's the offensive line. Shady can do a little bit of dancing here and there and maybe too much to a fault sometimes, but that's his game. That's what makes him one of the most elusive and dynamic backs in the entire National Football League. So you got to think it's the offensive line. Well, they were up to the task in week number 6. Was this offensive line where you had a backup center and a backup left guard in the football game? So these guys came to play football, and Shady was able to get 34 yards on 4 rushes on that first possession, which let me know, okay, running game might be doing some big things in this game. And the second thing I was looking for in this game was pass rush from the Eagles. This is something that I think they struggle with, and until they get a consistent pass rush, I think this defense, because the secondary is suspect with Bradley Fletcher and the cornerback from the Ravens that you got. His name escapes me right now. Kerry Williams. With those 2 out there and your secondary being one of the weak links of this defense, you need to get pressure on the quarterback. And so, to me, the easiest way to alleviate any pressure that the corners or the safeties may be feeling in that secondary is to get pressure on the quarterback. And that's something that the Eagles don't do very well, at least not enough for me and to my liking for me to feel comfortable as them being a team that defensively can get enough stops to beat good football teams in this league. The offense is going to do their thing every single week. I expect the offense. And that San Francisco 49ers game was an aberration. I think that the contributions from special teams and the defense in that game kind of allowed the offense to remain stagnant because the offense was off the field for so many periods of time. There were so many pockets of periods where the offense was just standing on the sidelines, just waiting for their turn, just patiently waiting. And you can't get into a rhythm like that. So I think that game was an aberration. But for me, this Eagles team, I needed to see 2 things in this game. I needed to see pass rush, and I needed to see Shady and this running attack get off the ground. And early on, one of those things seemed to be coming to fruition as Shady, 4 carries, 34 yards on the first possession. You move on to a 10-play, 81-yard drive capped off by a diving Zach Ertz touchdown grab. That was gorgeous. And the Eagles have made some of the prettiest plays offensively this year. Jeremy Maclin with a huge catch against the Redskins on a 3rd down, 3rd and long, which helped key them to that victory. Jeremy Maclin the following week against the 49ers with an even better one-handed grab on a 3rd and long to sustain a drive. And now Zach Ertz with a diving, first of all, beautiful throw by quarterback Nicholas Foles on the play, leads him to the corner of the end zone and puts it away from the defender where only Zach Ertz can get it. And then Zach Ertz having the ability to stretch out, use every bit of his frame to extend for the football, grab it, and have the ability to pull it in, corral it, and get a knee down as he's diving. Everything happening simultaneously. Just a beautiful grab. And I thought this was the turning point in the game, because if he doesn't catch this, I believe that was a 3rd down. If it's not a 3rd down, that was a 2nd down, and you would have been in 3rd and long. That was a 3rd down, if I'm not mistaken, though. And if he doesn't catch that, you have to settle for another field goal. Giants are right here still in the football game. But instead, he makes this dive and grab. It's now 10-0. Crowd is involved. They're hyped. Defense feels good now. They got a 10-point cushion. Now you can kind of pin your ears back again. No starting running back for the Giants in this game. Rashard Jennings out with an injury. So you got the rookie Andre Williams in there. I feel like if you're the Eagles, now's the time to get after Eli, make him uncomfortable, get to him. And, once Eli starts to feel uncomfortable early in the game, you got him right where you want him. And so I thought that catch by Zach Ertz was the turning point in this game, allowed the Eagles to really take off and soar in this football game. That's the end of the first quarter. Eagles up 10-0. Shady gets 15, and he was having a field day early in this game. You can see it's going to be one of those nights for Shady where he was going to get off on this Giants defense. And then James Casey is wide open. When you can run the football, and this is what the Eagles have been missing. This is what the game's been missing in Philadelphia this season. The ability to run the football and set up easy opportunities for the passing game. Because of the success of the running game with Shady, now you can pull it out of his belly, or you can go play action fake, or you can go bootleg. Roll out, which is what they did on this play, bootleg, roll out. Find a wide open James Casey coming across the field. Hit him in stride and watch him walk into the end zone for a 24-yard touchdown as the Eagles are now up 17-0. They're running away with this game. And at this point, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, we got a really good contest on Thursday Night Football. There hasn't been the trifecta of good games on national television this season. There hasn't been a Thursday, a Monday, and a Sunday night game that were all competitive. We've had Sunday and Monday be competitive and Thursday be garbage. We've had Thursday be garbage and then have Sunday be competitive and then Monday be garbage. We've had Thursday be garbage and then Sunday be garbage and then Monday be ultra competitive. But we've never had all 3 facets, all 3 national primetime televised games to be close. Well, we got the first leg on Thursday with a very compelling game between the Texans and the Colts. So you knew somebody had to drop the ball. I said, man, this smells like the makings of a nice ass whooping coming the way of the Giants. And so I could see the writing on the wall, but I said, maybe, just maybe, the G-men can hang around. And Eli is being harassed in this game. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the Giants have Eli Manning just back there to throw the football, which is what they've been doing of late, and it's been working to perfection, but they've also been running the football. They got ODB in the lineup now, and so they feel like they've got a nice passing attack. Tight ends have been stepping up. I wanted to see the Giants come out and throw the football, and I wanted to see what the Eagles' response was going to be to that. Could they get consistent pressure? Because Eli has been doing a great job in Ben McAdoo's system of getting the football out of his hands very quickly. And so Eli had already been sacked 4 times up until this point. We're not even at the halftime break yet, and Eli's already been sacked 4 times. He's already fumbled the football once. The Giants were lucky to fall on it, but the pressure that was mounting on Eli was forcing the issue. You could see Eli was becoming increasingly uncomfortable in the pocket. He was making faster decisions, which this team already makes quick decisions with the football. He was making even quicker decisions, and bad ones at that. And you start to see the incomplete passes because he started out the game 6 of 6 did Eli, but because the pressure started to mount, those incompletions, which were far and few between, started to become few and far between, started to come a lot more often as this Eagles pressure started to get to Eli Manning. Now, you force a punt after another sack of Eli Manning, and Darren Sproles, Mighty Mike, makes his presence felt on special teams once again with a 43-yard punt return. That sets up a field goal by Cody Parkey, his second of the game. It's now 20-0. Eagles on top in this game. Nicholas Foles, and this is where I thought the game might turn a bit. Maybe the Giants can get back into it. Nicholas Foles throws a terrible interception. Looks across the field, scans the field, doesn't see anything. Pocket starting to collapse. Comes back to his outlet receiver in the flats, his running back, and throws it without looking. And right there is standing Antrell Roll, who's able to tip the football, pick it off, and had he been able to break a tackle, had he been able to catch it cleanly, he probably, I don't necessarily think he scores, but he could pick up a huge gain on the play on the return and set the G-men up in some position to get some points right before the half, which could have turned the tide in this game. Instead, he bobbles it, which stopped him from being able to run with it, and that allowed the running back to tackle him from behind. But nonetheless, Eagles were in scoring position. That took points off the scoreboard and thwarted an Eagles scoring drive. So huge play in the game at the time. Giants still in this game, still only down 3 scores. Again, you never know with this Eagles team. We saw last week they were up 27 points and almost blew that lead. You're only down 3 scores against this Eagles team that they'll score quick, but they'll punt the ball even faster when they go 3 and out. You never know. G-men hanging around. And so it's halftime, 20-0. And then Zach Bowman picks off Nicholas Foles, and the Giants take over at the Eagles' 21-yard line. I thought this was going to be the play that changed the game and made it a competitive football game. I thought this was the play right here that was going to make this game different in the second half. Instead, the Eagles defense rallies the troops. They are able to get a stop on 3rd down, forcing a 4th down decision inside the 5-yard line. At the 3-yard line, 4th and goal from the 3-yard line. Can the Eagles get one last defensive stop and force a turnover on downs? And that they could, as the ball is in the hands of Victor Cruz. It wasn't Victor Cruz. It was in his hands, but he drops the football inexplicably, and then we find out later why he dropped the football on this play. He goes down, writhing in pain, grasping at the knee. Really don't see much on the replay as we watch it several times back as he's on the ground clutching his knee. You really don't see much. You know, normally you can tell when a guy tears his ACL. You can tell when a guy tears his Achilles or blows his Achilles tendon. You can see all those things happen. You're like, oh, man, that's an ACL. Oh, man, you know, that's an Achilles. Nothing looked apparent on the play. You couldn't even really see what happened. All you know is that Victor Cruz went down in a lot of pain and was not moving. And we later found out torn patella tendon, done for the season, and that's going to be a long, arduous recovery for one Victor Cruz. He was crying the entire way off the field. You felt bad for him. He's worked this hard to get to this point. I'm glad he got paid when he did, because had this injury happened, let's say a season and a half ago, Victor Cruz, who was playing on, you know, basically pennies on the dollar at the time, had he gotten injured with this type of injury, who knows what would have happened in negotiations. So good thing he got his money when he did. And now he's gone, and that's going to be a huge blow to this Giants football team, especially knowing that you got the Cowboys coming up next week. He's gone for the entire season. Good thing that you got ODB now, but now you're asking a young guy to step in and fill a huge role. Ruben Randall going to have to step his game up. Going to have some guys like Preston Parker now step up to help fill that void. That's a huge void in this Giants offense now, as it's a turnover on downs. Eagles able to avoid giving up any points after the Nicholas Foles turnover. And not only, and you can tell the Giants were deflated after Victor Cruz got injured. So much so that they allowed the Eagles to put together, I mean, okay, fine, so you don't score. You got the Eagles pinned at their own 3-yard line. Force a stop, get off the field, get a 3 and out, get the football back. You're going to get great field position if you're able to force a punt without them picking up a first down. Instead, they allow the Eagles to put together an 8-play, 97-yard drive capped off by a 15-yard Darren Sproles touchdown run. That's it. That's game, set, match, 27-0 at this point. And that would be your final score, 27-0, as the Philadelphia Eagles on Statement Sunday make a huge and declarative, very, very declarative statement. They said, hey, look, and they said it to the Cowboys essentially, because everybody else in the NFC after this beatdown, it's really a two-team race now. They said this to Dallas, me and you. We put the Giants and the Redskins down too. Both of those teams are done. So it's just the Cowboys and the Eagles. It's a two-team race now. They left the Giants and the Redskins at home. And so now 5-1 Eagles, 5-1 Cowboys after their triumphant victory in Seattle. This is huge now. This NFC East is shaping up to be one heck of a race. And the Eagles said, hey, we're not going down. We won this division last year, and we're looking to do it again and repeat as NFC East champions. And they talked about it on the telecast last night about how this division has not been won consecutively by any team since 2004, when the last team to do it was the Philadelphia Eagles, when they had a stretch of football with Donovan McNabb where they dominated this division from 2002 to 2004. So nobody's been winning this thing back to back, but the Eagles said, hey, if we got anything to say about it, we'll be back hoisting that NFC East championship once again when this season is done. And that was a very profound statement that they made because, again, Giants had come into this game hot, winners of 3 in a row. This looked more like the Giants team from the first 2 weeks of the season that was abysmal, that couldn't get out of their own way, that made a lot of mistakes, that couldn't protect Eli Manning. This looked more like that team than the team we've seen the last 3 weeks of the season that were 3 consecutive Giant victories. So great job by the Eagles to dominate. And the two things that I was looking for outside of a win from the Eagles, I saw it in this game. Shady McCoy, 22 carries, $149. That's more likely for and 7 sacks of the Giant quarterbacks. 6 on Eli Manning. They brought Curtis Painter in at the end, Ryan Nassib in at the end, and they sacked him too. So 7 sacks on the day for this Eagles defense. I wanted to see pressure. Connor Baldwin was excellent in this game. So was Trent Cole. Guys were moved around, and they were making plays. I thought the Eagles defensively were dominant in this game, and that's why you get a shutout, 27 to donut. That's going to do it for the Giants and Eagles on Sunday Night Football. I thank you for joining me here in the lab room. Remember, if it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down week number 6 in the National Football League. I'll be back in a moment to break down more action from week number 6. See you in a bit. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.